just finished doing a presentation on inflammation in HIV. For those who don't know anything, could you maybe do a very sort of brief overview of the types of inflammation you were talking about?
HIV is really not that different from other diseases that are associated with chronic inflammatory conditions. So chronic arthritis, autoimmune diseases, other immune deficiencies, they all have certain things in common, and that is that the immune system over time becomes challenged, and it becomes challenged by a variety of factors, some of them that have to do with the external environment, and some that have to do with the internal environment. So we spend a lot of time trying to identify HIV-related issues causing problems, particularly cardiovascular disease. But it may not really be HIV itself. It may be the environment around HIV. So there's lots of things that people can do to minimize immune activation, minimize negative impact.
That's a good point. I was going to jump to that. What can you do?
So the most important thing is, have a healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. The number one risk factor for cardiovascular disease, bar none, is smoking. And yet very few people are willing to give up smoking, which makes no sense. They sit and worry about esoteric problems with HIV, but don't do anything about something as basic as smoking.
So the good news is we do have a little bit of control.
Yeah, we have a lot of control, and we have knowledge. We know that people who have a strong family history, whether they have HIV or not, should be really careful in minimizing these factors. So aside from smoking, living a healthy lifestyle, doing some exercise, not being overweight, not having high sugars and high lipids, and those things are modifiable. And so there's a lot that we can't do to get around this issue, but not enough effort is being made. We like the easy solutions, take a pill. Yeah. Well, it's not as simple as that.
Speaking of taking a pill, what influence does inflammation have around maybe the decision on when to start treatment? Or do you think there is?
That's an excellent question. That's something that we shouldn't really be debating. The time to start is the time that the person gets identified as having the infection. There's very few situations where we delay treating an infection. I think if you get rid of the word HIV, nobody would delay treating an infection. When you have things like cardiac infections, we really treat them aggressively, and they're associated with a lot of inflammation. Excuse me.
I want to add that you're down with a cold today, and very, very thankful you've come up while not feeling too well. So for treatment, away.
It should be early. It should be aggressive. Make sure the virus is always controlled. If the virus is controlled, that's a major factor in decreasing activation, because the virus is one of the major drivers of activation in conjunction with the immune deficiency it creates. So if you don't allow the immune deficiency to be created because of early treatment, then the benefits are long-term, the positive benefits in terms of minimizing all the other comorbidities.
Thank you very much for shining a very brief light on what is becoming a very important topic around treating HIV, and especially when you're not feeling well. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.